Okay, hey guys. So I'm gonna do another skill tutorial, or just talk about skills. I'm not sure. Um, I'm not great at the weapon proficiencies, but I'm kind of gonna go into why I don't really put a lot of focus into trying to push weapons. I just kind of figure they happen as they happen. But we're gonna discuss skills. One of the big things is someone was commenting on one of my skill videos, which they were wanting to know more about, like pushing BLP or laser sniper. So I just have laser sniper open because that's what I'm doing. But BLP is the same except you exchange laser for BLP. So basically, when you're looking at this, you've got things that affect it are inflict range damage, kill strike, marksmanship, range damage assessment, wounding, laser, weapon technology, serendipity, and anatomy. And if you're a new player and you're like, I don't get a lot of those skills, that's right, because there are 8 skills there that I listed. 3 of them are base skills and 5 of them are unlocks, which makes it extremely hard to actually push anything into it. The like for That's the damage side of things. On the hit side of things, you're going to get a lot more ways to push it, which can be beneficial if you're trying to get to the first unlock of Serendipity. I think Serendipity is so important. It affects everything. It affects looter. It affects pretty much all the damage and hit professions. It affects mining, um, uh, evade. Um, I'm not sure there's much it doesn't affect. Probably doesn't affect some of the craftings, but other than crafting, it even impacts telepathy. Uh, it's pretty much everything. Other than so Serendipity is an extremely important unlock. So getting to level 30, that Serendipity skill is extremely huge in pretty much anything you're doing other than crafting. Um, but I would also say that um, crafting is affected by hunting. Well, more so mining, but even at times hunting. Um, ultimately, I think serendipity will affect everything, directly or indirectly. Serendipity is a very important unlock. So, I mean, pushing, like, for example, if you're, in BLP or, um, laser sniper, pushing to level 30 quickly can help you a lot. And there are a lot of ways you can push that, because there's like things like perception, dex, which are also looter skills. I would definitely recommend pushing those, um, just because they're looter skills. On the hit side, you've got courage you can push easily. Weapons handling you can push. Um, combat set send. Oh no, combat sense unlock. The combat reflexes you can push. So on the hit side, you can push it, but the problem with guns, obviously, if you're trying to rush the level 30, that can make a lot of sense because serendipity is so important. But the problem is that your guns are the hit is always going to stay above the damage until really late because the unlocks are later in the damage and the percent of the unlocks is higher. So there's no way really, there's no real, I don't know if there's a point in balancing anymore. I mean, I think with Mayhem, the new structure of Mayhem, there's no reason to balance. You may hear older videos talking about balancing, And that's the idea is that you're trying to fit into certain Mayhem categories and you might need to chip out um, if you don't fit, but there's no such thing as that anymore. So there's no real reason to be concerned about balancing. Um, Unless you just have a sort of a penchant to do both guns and like rifles and pistols. There's no reason to try to even balance them at all. I mean, hopefully they'll balance. They should balance in the end. I mean, because once you get all the unlocks, you got 100%. it should come pretty close. But obviously, you're always dragging on guns, and the bigger problem there is that on the damage side, where you're dragging behind, there's really not a lot you can do. I mean, you could throw codex in there, but my feeling is, and this is just how I play, why I go, what do you got in your damage? You got anatomy? Well, you should be pushing anatomy anyway, because that's a looter skill. So I would say, yeah, always push anatomy as much as you want. I like throwing some dex in as well, for me personally. What I'm doing is, because I'm trying to get to level 60 looter, so let's actually go into what I'm doing. I'm to get to level 60 looter, my target is anatomy at 7,100, dex at 7,100, perception at 7,100. Those are as minimums, and then eventually skinning. Once skinning's around 7,100, it should be enough with my side skills to push me over level 60. I mean, obviously, these two are going to go way above. This one's probably going to go a little bit above, and then I'm going to try to get that as tight as possible, to try to keep it close to skinning as skinning's going up. It's still holding, it's about 500 points back, but I'm trying to keep it as close as possible. But yeah, if I can do that, obviously those are all going to go above 7,100. When that hits 7,100, if I keep alertness close, I'll actually have enough to hit level 60. I mean, I've definitely done some side stuff, to make that possible for me to hit level 60 doing that method. Well, butchering is unlocked that just, it just does itself. But I've done some tree cutting. And tree cutting's a huge thing. It does a lot of things for you. It does zoology, biology. Those are looter skills. I think it does botany, genetics. One of those is a looter skill for mutant. I forget which is. I've started to actually, this is a little bit off, but topic, but let's go with it. I'm starting to try to train robot looters, and one of the ways, the interesting connections between robot looting and um, and crafting is electronics engineer. If you're training an electronics engineer, you're getting a bunch of skills which also go into robot looter, which is funny, but I'm doing a little bit of electronics just to punch robot looter a little bit. I mean, I guess I could do VSE, but that's kind of, I just don't like it. I'm stingy, and I'm not backing down from being stingy. um, I mean, I don't mind giving people stuff or whatnot, but I don't like giving Mind Dark ped mindlessly. Mind Dark is not. I mean, I like Mind Dark, but it's not like giving a friend something. That's different, or a noob something that feels good. It's cool to help out. People, because you were once a noob and people help you. So but so I mean, there are a lot of things that synergize. But that's also kind of why I focus on things I can control. I find there's not much I can control in the the gun area. I mean, I could other than throwing lots of codex in to things like laser weapon tech or rifle or stuff like that. I think that's just that's a recipe for some pretty nasty bad returns. I just feel it happens when it happens. So I tend to focus on the looter or defense skills. That's me. But also interestingly, like if you're crafting, for example, mining has some good synergies with crafting because it's punching your engineer. Or I mean, there are lots of synergies I think between like tree cutting, and even crafting, and some hunting. I mean, obviously the like interesting example is electronics has plays into robot looter pretty easily, and if you're crafting a lot, doing a little bit of mining will help. Help your crafting a little bit too. But well, definitely, if you're doing a lot of crafting, it's going to help your driller a lot. So that helps your costs. So that's a nice kind of. There are lots of little efficiencies, but most of them feel like they are between the looters, tree cutting, mining, crafting. Interestingly, there's not a lot in the actual weapons. I mean, the more interesting, there are some overlays though between, say, there's more overlays it feels between Mind Force and melee actually, weirdly, than uh, than than um, than guns. I mean, guns are pretty separate. So, but one thing and I'm here crafting, and that's actually purposeful. One thing is that if you want to pump your returns, you have to increase your cycle. Now, obviously, there are multiple ways to do that. You could just shoot bigger guns, shoot more ammo, but that can be tiring, and it's good to have a life and take a break and sleep and whatnot. So what am I doing here? I am literally just crafting. I don't know how much we start off with. It was supposed to be like 1,300 peds. Well, it's probably more than 1,300 peds actually, because this is already over 100. But yeah, so this is probably like 1,350 peds or something. So literally, I'm just increasing my cycle. One thing I noticed when I was on X Island, I was doing the still VIP mission, and I took a big. I was just like, I wanted to get through, and I was just like, just dropping probes constantly, and then I was like killing a billion sharks, and it was a huge cycle. I had taken a break from sweating, and because I do sweating I craft welding wire, so I use my sweat to craft welding wire, so I actually make my own sweat for that. But the point is that not to get sidetracked, but the point is that when I stopped sweating, I did this huge mission, which is cycling, so many pets, it was ridiculous. But when I came back to sweating, my skill gain started reversing. It was actually interesting. It didn't jump massively, but it actually reversed for about a 2-week time frame. And each day, my skills would go up a little bit each day. And I ended up at the peak, my skill gain was 20% more than when I started. So actually, what I realized is that I had increased my cycle so much that the game was paying me out skills. Your skill, and it doesn't even matter. Like it appears to me that the game is paying you out skills based on your total cycle. And I don't know if there's a time frame for that, if it drifts off or it's kind of a long-term thing. I actually think it might be extremely long-term, but the point is, regardless, I'm not entirely sure on that. But it is very plain that it doesn't matter how you increase your cycle. If you increase your cycle in any way, it will affect skill gain in all sorts of areas. So, now if I had EP3 or EP4 and I could, blast through 1,000,000 pets, I'm sure my skill gain would be through the earth, but I do not have that sort of blueprint, and I do not have that sort of money on my account, on my avatar. I suppose I could certainly depot that, and I would not. It would be fine. I would just. This is not what I want. I don't really feel making a couple $1,000 depot so I can run EP3 and EP4. But if I did, my skill gain would be insane. Like I could go out and hunt and if I ran some EP3 overnight, you know, uh, had to deposit a few $1,000s, ran EP3 overnight or something like that. When I came back into hunting in the morning, my skill gain would be pretty insane. But the whole point is that if you're struggling a little bit with your hunting skill gain, you could just run some crafting, for a while. Obviously you try to be smart. Right now it's nice. I think it's been decent. The price I've been actually selling in the high 103 range, which is pretty decent. But the nice thing is that metal, I think because people are probably buying a lot of guns for Mayhem, metal is pretty high. It's like 101.5. So that makes this pretty because everything is selling pretty good. It makes this pretty reasonable. I'm not gonna lose a lot of ped. I also had some good luck this week. I got 7 recycle ones. So I always keep ones so they fall into those, so I don't, have to find them. I have a method to this madness. I won't really explain it, but I got 6 recycle 3s. So I mean that was some pretty good luck. But needless to say, I've been also, while I say I have good luck, I've also been running a lot of crafting. It's something feels good to me. I like coming back and seeing what my crafting is. I normally don't do the big EP2. I mean, some people would not consider that big, but I usually do EP1. But when I'm on Cali, I tend to, just because this is where I auction stuff anyway. If I'm gonna do a big run, I do it on Cali. Usually, if I'm off planet, I'm gonna do little EP1s. But I mean, if you wanted to mine to, increase your hunting skill gain, take a break. If you're frustrated with your skill gain in hunting, you want to take a while mining. When you come back to hunting, your skill gain is going to be higher in hunting. I mean, so, but yeah, I like to focus on things which save me pet, because I figure if I'm succeeding, this is a financial game. If I am succeeding financially, I can keep cycling. If I can keep cycling, I keep gaining skills. And so that's kind of how I approach it. The skills I'm punch pushing are all financial skills. They're looter skills because I'm a hunter mostly. I craft as well, but you can't really. There's not much you can do with codex into that. That's kind of how I go about thinking about skills. I don't know if there's a lot more to say other than that tree cutting is very important. It hits a lot of looter skills. It also it does anatomy analysis, biology, zoology, perception. No, those are. I'm reading off the. I thought it was a little crazy. Let's go to actual tree cutting. But it actually does cover a lot of those. It may have covered all of the ones I said. I just don't know what I said. For that, let's go into tree cutting. Oh, it's called resource gather. Of course. It does zoology, genetics, biology. So, but biology is both mutant and animal. Genetics is mutant. Zoology is animals. It covers botany, which I don't think does anything for looter. I don't know what botany. I think it's involved in gardening. So maybe if gardening, I don't know if anyone gardens or about it. Covers analysis. That's a looter. That's also a defensive skill. It punches geology, which is mine. It comes through perception, dex. Those are looter skills. Athletics is a defensive skill. Alertness, that's a looter skill. So almost everything it does, I mean, it has resource gatherer, which helps tree cutting. If you're tree cutting a lot, yeah, I mean the tree cutting requirements are important. Especially, you can get some MU in there if you had a Terratech 3, get the long boards with MU. So the looter tree cutting is important, I think. I mean, you could also do some of that if you got into if you did animal taming. That's another way I think to interestingly pump looter. I haven't personally gone that route, but I think if you did animal taming, it's gonna help. I don't feel like it's gonna help quite as much as tree cutting, but it's gonna be very helpful, I think. I just haven't felt it to do it. I don't know if there's a lot to say about. Yeah, I know it was requested that I talk about weapon, professions. I spent most of the time telling you why I don't talk about weapon professions, but let me see if there's anything interesting to say about like what like knives or I mean, if you do sweating, it's gonna help some mind force a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of some interplay between like bravado, some of the little bit of interplay between melee and mind force. I don't know. I think doing a little bit of what I would say is I think that also going back to what I was saying that skill gain is based on your total pet cycle. I think that can hopefully encourage people to multi-skill, because here's the thing is that when you're training melee, it's not like you're exactly punting on training, your gun skills, because when you come back to guns, your skill gain is going to be faster. Now, obviously, if you had trained guns the whole way, you'd be higher. But the point is that there are a lot of hit points you can get when training melee, even mind force. So I would say, um, feel free to dabble, because if you're tired of your BLP's not going up a whole lot, spend some time, enjoy. If you enjoy doing some melee and getting those hit points, that makes you feel good, or getting those strength increases, that makes you feel good, or it's just fun to do something different. Maybe you just enjoy trying some pyro chips. You know, it when you come back to hunting, your skills are going to be a little bit faster. So plus you can get a lot of benefit from all those hit points you're getting, or stuff. So I think that's hopefully something that I mean, you can consider it as a takeaway that um, you know, Entropia is actually pretty friendly to multi-skilling. There's some synergies that you may find, um, and so I'm not gonna drag it on, but hope you enjoyed it. Maybe found something in there, and you found one or two things. I think that's good. So hope you guys have a great day.